Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session. My name is Sándor Pap. I'm from memoQ's marketing team, and I'll be the host of today's webinar. When we started the session, I was thrilled to see that we have many existing users and hopefully new memoQ users attending the session. And I'm even more thrilled because I see many people whom we met at memoQ Fest a couple of weeks ago. Welcome to the session. I hope you will enjoy that. And I also hope that you will benefit a lot from this today. Before we get started, let me tell you a bit about the session itself, just to make sure that we can run it smoothly and you will have a nice webinar experience. We will record the session, meaning that it will be available on YouTube in a couple of days, and also at memoq.com, so you can rewatch it and contact us also later on if you have any questions. We have scheduled this session to last for 45 minutes, but chances are that we will finish it a bit sooner, which means that we also have some more time for the Q&A at the end. Please take your time, formulate your questions, and add them in the Q&A. Please don't add them to the chat, but the Q&A section. That's very important. That's the place where we will read the questions to our presenter today. The honor is mine to introduce our speaker today, who will be the head of product at memoQ, Árpád Figyelmesi. He will be talking about business analytics today. He will start with a presentation where he talks about the main concept behind this feature, also do a short demo, and as I mentioned, we will finish the webinar with a Q&A section. Without further ado, let me hand it over to Árpád. I'm sure that he's around now. I stop sharing my screen and then you can take it over.
Yes, I am here.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Shani, for the nice introduction. So, going to the slides. So, as Sándor mentioned, we would like to talk you about business analytics charts. This is the recently released feature, and also some underlying concept and how it works and how can you get the most of it if you try and start to use this functionality. So first of all, some clarification, what is and what is not this business analytics chart functionality. So this is a visual representation of trends and simple data released in 10.2 version, the latest LTS version of memoQ. The main goal of the feature to answer the question, how much work did we do and how much work did we save with memoQ and our TMs. So very important to mention here that this is not intended to be a complex tool to display complex relationships or create sophisticated visualization, and it's not meant to be to replace your current business analytics software. So this is a relatively simple tool that can give you instant insights inside the memoQ ecosystem. How it looks like, so if you visit the WebPM interface, you can find this analytics menu item in the left navigation bar, and you can open the dashboard at first. Every user can have one dashboard collecting the most important charts that they use in their daily work, and they are able to create new ones if they want. So if you start to create a new chart, you can choose or decide between two options, creating the leverage data that give you insights related how much the TM and memoQ helps you in saving money, especially, and you can create a volume chart that give you detailed insights regarding different aspects of your workload. In the create chart screen, obviously you are able to define a name and description for the chart. You can choose what are the data that you want to display. You have rich configuration options to create different type of visualization, select time frames. You are able to set some predefined ones, or you are able to choose a custom one. And you can do some grouping of your data. And what is important, but not in this screenshot, you are also able to do some filtering if you want to clean up a bit what you want to see. One important thing here that you are also able to share the charts with your colleagues. So if something useful, not only for you, but a broader audience of your colleagues, you are easily can share with them the chart. And obviously, it helps to simplify the maintenance of your charts, because you need to maintain it only one place and everybody can get the latest version if you make some update. As I mentioned in the beginning, you are able to pin your charts into the dashboard. The dashboard relatively simple, so you can organize your charts in 3 different layouts. 1 column, 2 column, or 3 column layouts. I will show it during the demo part, how it works in practice. This is a very, very simple visualization. The main goal of the initial screen of the dashboard to get an overview of trends and get some quick insights. However, you are able to zoom in any of the charts, and you can have all the details in this case. And you also have all charts view. So what is not in your dashboard, but can be interesting for you, can be listed here. So this is an overview interface for your charts. You are very simply can search if you have a larger number of charts, you can edit them. You also have some information about the last modification, what is the type of it, and who is the owner of it. Because as I mentioned in the regarding the previous slides, you may have some charts that shared by others with you. As I mentioned, you are able to zoom in to the chart, so you have a more detailed view here. In the full screen view, obviously you have all the data. If you bring your mouse over any of these data columns, you will see the exact numbers regarding them. So everything in place, everything is easy to access. And very important that if you need more details, we can offer you still the functionality that was available in the previous versions. So you still have the CSV report. The CSV report contains, if I write 145 data points regarding your documents, so it's a super detailed and rich source of information. And this data also available through the BI API if you want to do some automatic connection. But the CSV can be also downloaded and analyzed in Excel or other formats. So if you feel the visual representation limited for your goals, you can go with this more detailed report. So here is the point when I would like to change to live demo. Since I have seen the live demo of the Tesla Cybertruck, I really worried about it, but hopefully it will be better now. So just go to the interface, sign in. So the dashboard is loading. Sooner or later it will be ready. Usually it's faster. However, if you do a demo, it's normal, everything a bit slower than usual. So this is the dashboard, contain the charts that I already created. If I bring my mouse over, you can see there is a hover that demonstrating you the data. I have something really simple here. So total words in last year, total words in this year, and leverage for the same time frame, so last year and this year. And let's show what we can do and create some other chart. So I choose some volume chart here, choosing total number of words, for example. Just make it a little bit more interesting. Choose the pie chart instead of the R chart, and choose the range, for example, last year, and group by for, let's go ahead with the file extension. Document extension, yes. So I can choose some categories. Maybe you don't want to see all the categories, but now I choose to select all of them because I want to give you a more detailed view. So choose all the 5 types that I use. Just a sec. So this is a static adding of types. However, I will mention later, we are working on some more dynamic adding of types. You can choose some filtering. You can see you have a wide range of different kind of filters that you can see here. Obviously, this is not the same filter that you have in import and export. And regarding time frame, I forgot to mention these are the built-in categories, and you can choose a custom date range if you want. These are the type of charts that you are able to use. You also have a table view. It can be quite handy if you want to visualize some numeric information in your dashboard, for example. And here, as the data source, you also have a quite wide range of different properties that you are able to use in charts. So just run the preview and see what we have. So as you can see, this is a quite simple and easy to use. If I go through all of the work, I'm able to share it. However, currently I don't want to share with any of my colleagues, but I would like to pin it on the dashboard. So I save it this way. So you can, oh, I forgot to mention that I can choose change the name and other things. However, you're still able to edit it easily. So that's my chart. It's so simple, and I can add some description, but currently I don't want. Just save it this way. And as I mentioned previously, you can choose between 3 different layouts. So if you want to see more things here, you can choose this quite compact layout. In this case, you are also able to move your charts in a different position. So if you want to see something here, you can do that. It's make easier to compare things. You can choose this larger view, and this is the one column view when you can see all the details. It's make easier to see the details. However, it's make harder to overview all of the things that you have in the dashboard. As I mentioned in the slides, here is the all charts view. I can do some search. So currently I don't have so many things, but I can filter easily what is interesting for me. And here I can also see what is in my dashboard. I can start editing from here, and I can see the basic information about the charts and other things. What I mentioned, we have also the CSV reports. So you still have them. You are able to create as many as you want. And you are also able to start a new creation here. In the reports, you are not able to configure too much things because it contains all the data by default that can be used. So it's not really beneficial to limit the CSV report. Okay, so I think we touched the most important features of the charts. So one thing that I wanted to show you, the leverage data. So the main difference between volume data and leverage data, that the leverage data always a comparison. So in the case of leverage, one is maybe the most typical use case that you want to compare your total word count with weighted word count. So this is a simple but really important thing that you can use as a starting point to see how much you benefit using the TMs. So leverage data can be easily created. Here, the interface is a little bit more simple compared to the previous one. So you have not so many categories as a data source. You can choose words or characters. Using words, it's a bit more typical. You can choose also the date range, so just select last year, and you can choose between the grouped or timeline view. let's use the timeline and simple timeline and group by month. So this is a relatively easy thing. Obviously, you are also able to use filters here if you want. So just create a preview, and you can see the bluish lines representing the total word count, the yellowish lines representing the weighted word count, the difference between the two, the leverage you have. So this is a relatively simple one. It's the goal here was to create something that's really easy to use and really easy to understand. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it was not intentional. We not intended to create a full-fledged visualization framework here, just give you a quick insights. One thing that I forgot to mention, that this is a quasi real-time view. So you can, if I remember correctly, it's updated automatically every 30 seconds. However, you are able to manually update charts if you want. So it's up to you, but this is a quasi real-time thing that you can use. Just going back to the presentation, I want to describe a bit how can you get this business analytics working. So during the installation of the application or using the development tool, you are able to turn on this business analytics function. As I mentioned, this is or I wanted to mention, I'm not sure I did it. This is a web exclusive feature. So that means it's not available in the desktop client. You are only able to use it in the WebPM interface. So you need to configure WebPM, obviously, to be able to use it as the visual component of the charts. Currently, no additional license needed. So if you have a WebPM and if you have a TMS and if you have a WebPM, you are able to use this functionality without any additional license. You can find the configuration settings under deployment tool, advanced business analytics services. So very easy to find, very easy to use. So as you can see, it has some very quite limited configuration options, so you can easily turn it on. However, always good to check the documentation about it, because we have detailed instructions in the documentation related to this, and you can find also the prerequirement to install it. The configuration, this is something that I forgot to mention during the live demo, however, can be also important. So in the web interface, during the configuration options, you can find the following screen. So you can choose which statistics you want to use for your charts. You can choose by default the last one. But if you have different preferences because of any reasons, you are able to choose from the other three options. So last one before translation can be also quite handy in many cases. The date settings is also quite important. So during demonstration, you have seen that I used quite often different kind of date ranges. The date option says what is the date that we use to calculate these date ranges. So obviously during lifetime of your project, you have multiple dates, and this is the setting that defines what is the relevant regarding the chart functionality. So it's quite important to choose the right one. The last import or re-import is the default. However, if you want to count only translated documents, the translator's delivery date can be also a reasonable choice. So you can select according to your needs. I suggest to play a little bit what fits best to your requirements. Report type to use, this is also quite useful, especially if one document translated by multiple translators. So in this case, the post-translation analysis can be a very useful thing that can give you better numbers or more accurate ones. The last option may be the less relevant in most cases. This is about how we handle data when you delete some document. You can choose between the three options. With fine-tuning it, you can remove from your data set some documents that imported, but you changed your mind and you deleted it without doing any translation or other thing with them. Some words about the next steps. So in ThanQ, what you have, this is only the first iteration of this interface. So we're still working on it to make it even better. Some UI improvements and usability improvement already implemented. So it will be more user-friendly in the upcoming versions very soon. One quite important functional improvement that we are working on to load dynamic grouping. So sometimes, for example, if you want to select all of your translators or you want to select all of the file types in a defined time frame, it's not so comfortable to manually configure them with which one you want to see in the grouping. We would like to implement some dynamic grouping, let you to select all the elements once. So without selecting the elements, all elements will be appear that fits to the time frame, or you have data into time frame. The top elements can be also something that quite handy in some cases, and we're thinking about some other options regarding making the grouping more useful. We're also thinking about some new visualizations. So the current chart types and table type, this is only the first thing, so we can add more in later. The most important thing here, if you miss something, please do not hesitate to share with us. So you can use the idea portal to share your thoughts regarding the business analytics, or you can write to support. All of your feedback really welcomed regarding this functionality, because this is a relatively new thing, and based on your feedback, we can do better application. So I would like to ask you to do not hesitate to give us feedback. That's all for today. Thank you very much. And I really eager to hear your questions and answer them.
Thank you very much for the great summary, Arpad. Indeed, we already have a couple of questions, and while I'm reading them out, I would like to encourage the others to post any questions they may have in the Q&A. So let me start with the first one. Is there a way to see edit distance reporting here?
Currently not. So, but this can be an important thing to hear. So the edit distance report usually about one document. However, this is the business analytics main goal to give you some detailed information about the full volume that you have. Obviously, edit distance can be also relevant in this case. However, currently that was not the first thing that we implemented. But if you share this idea and others also happy to see it, that can be something that we can add in the future.
Great, thank you. Here comes the other one. How do we configure the business analytics service if we have a memoQ cloud server? Do we have to request this feature from support? Is it a paying feature?
Honestly, I am not sure about it. I think with I can double check with the services team. I believe they can turn it you on. And as I mentioned, this is not a paid feature currently. So business analytics can be, it's free currently. It can be used without additional license. But we will get back to you regarding the proper answer. I will double check it.
Thank you. Question number 3. We do not finish some of our projects. Instead, we add new files to the same project regularly. How to include all the statistics in such projects to the overall statistics? It's
Good
not
question.
the last or first in our case. Yeah, right.
Really good question. Thank you for that. Here comes the relevance of the time setting that I mentioned during the configuration. So obviously, if you not close and wrap up your projects, you need to choose the right stage that exists for all of your documents. So this is something that can be important in this case. And the other thing, just run the statistics again, because these business analytics reports are based on the statistics quite heavily. So if you are not updating your statistics, these all of the things that happens is invisible for the business analytics. However, after importing a document, if your template, for example, contain automatism to run the statistics again, these things will be incorporated automatically to the business reports and it works out of the box. So not a problem if you have a project that's running for a long time by importing documents continuously.
Okay, thank you so much. Question number 4. Is it possible to see the effort of the revisors, like the edit distance, but on the revision steps?
Mm-hmm. As I mentioned, currently the edit distance is not available, if I write, but this can be something that can be added later. So I suggest to share the suggestion with the community through the idea portal, and if enough interest around it, we are happy to consider to add it to the application.
The next question is, would the new project data be automatically written into the business analytics database used for chart creation? The last test I did seemed to require me to manually update the memoQ TMS's business analytics database, but I could be wrong. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. The new project data, as I mentioned, added mostly after you run the statistics. So I say mostly because some of the chart data, for example, the total word count and total character count based on the raw data, raw character and the word count calculated during the import. So this is not needed to use the statistics. However, most of the other information is coming from the statistics. So if you have a new project, just run statistics, and after that you will have the data in business analytics, and it's written to the business analytics DB.
Great. Bear with me for a second, please. Is your plan to continue improving the tool to add more and more features, or is it going to stay a simple tool for basic statistics only?
Both. So we want to keep it simple. However, this is only the first iteration, so it's we still want to add some features. As I mentioned, not creating a new Excel or full-fledged business intelligence solution. However, some smaller improvement will come in the upcoming releases, and be open to adding smaller things in the future to the application.
Let me raise another one. Does the business analytics have an API we could call?
Yes, you can call the API. The same data that I mentioned, these 145 data points for documents, also available through the business analytics API. So you can download all of the information that we use to create charts and other things through the API call. Furthermore, to call the API not needs to turn on the visual components. So you can have the API without having the charts, business analytics charts. So all of the data available, and you can use them. If you are considering, for example, to creating the charts itself through API or other things, this is not available, and we do not plan currently to do something like that. But the underlying data, as I mentioned, available.
If we have no more questions for today, I would like to thank Arpad for the great summary. He has presented to us about business analytics today, and I would like to also thank you for joining us today. It was great seeing so many of you around. There is not much left. We hope to be able to meet you at our upcoming webinars in the near future. Have a great day, a great afternoon, and take care and goodbye.